This is the Doug Awards. 2020 is over and I'm going to celebrate a year of videos, interesting, cool, crazy, quirky cars with this year's Doug Awards. I did this last year and I'm going to do it again. It is time for the most thoroughly anticipated awards ceremony of the year, the Dougies. Before I get started, be sure to check out Cars and Bids, which is my new online enthusiast car auction website located at carsandbids.com. We have a focus on modern enthusiast cars, stuff from the 80s and up. So if you have a cool car from the 80s and up and you're looking to sell it and get top dollar, Cars and Bids is the place, the ultimate online marketplace for modern enthusiast cars. Okay, quick announcement before I start with this year's Doug Awards. There is another video on my second channel, More Doug De Niro, wrapping up 2020, where I list the top 15 quirks and features of the year. I go through all of the quirkiest quirks from number 15 down to number 1 quirkiest. So I will link that video in the description below and you can check out the quirkiest quirks of the year. But for now, let's get started with the Doug Awards, the best awards ceremony of the year. There's like 7 categories and it's time for the awards. Let's go. Okay, award number 1, the Doug is the Type of Guy Award. Now, I'm gonna go through each category, kind of explain it, then I'm gonna tell you the last few years' winners, and then I'm gonna give you this year's runner-up, and then this year's winner for each category. And there's only, I don't know, 7 or 8 awards. So, Doug is the Type of Guy Award. This is the car that I reviewed this year that is most Doug-like. Not necessarily reviewed to get the most views or because I even thought my viewers would like it at all, but because some guy emailed me with this car and I said, yes, that is something I want to see. In 2017, that was the Mercedes R63 AMG. In 2018, it was the 2002 Hyundai Equus. Last year's winner was the Mini Club Van. And this year's Doug is the Type of Guy Award. The runner-up was the Chevy HHR SS Panel Van. This was a high-performance Chevy panel van, incredibly rare. The video did not do all that well, but it was a car that I've always wanted to check out. That's the runner-up. The winner of this year's Doug is the Type of Guy Award is the Oldsmobile Silhouette. I reviewed a first-generation Oldsmobile Silhouette this year. And I just wanted to see it. It was the first van ever with power sliding doors. It was like a luxury minivan from the early 90s. The video actually did pretty well, but I would have reviewed it even if it had only gotten 10 views because I was so interested. A built-in child seat. It played a musical notes every time the door would open or close. A lot of quirky stuff about it. And that's a very Doug car to review an early 90s minivan on a channel dedicated to car enthusiasts. But anyway, Doug is the Type of Guy Award goes to the Oldsmobile Silhouette. Okay, next up, most expensive car of the year. This is the only objective category on here. Basically the car I reviewed this year that was the most expensive, pretty simple. In 2017, most expensive car was the Ferrari F40. In 18, it was the Koenigsegg Agera RS1. In 19, it was the McLaren F1, amazing car. This year's most expensive car, runner-up, the Ferrari F50. These are trading in the $3 to $3.5 million range right now. Unbelievably expensive. Amazing that I was able to drive it. I was really thrilled at that. But the number 1 most expensive car I reviewed this year is the Bugatti Devo, of course. This is like $6 to $8 million. Only 40 of these in the world. Unbelievably rare, special version of the Bugatti Chiron, basically, and one of the coolest, most special, most amazing cars of all time. That is the Bugatti Devo. So that's the most expensive car in 2020. Next award, the Bargain of the Year Award. This goes to the car that I think, was the best value. Basically the car that you could buy that was the best bargain of the year. Pretty straightforward. In 17, that was the Porsche 996 C4S. The 996 911 is hated by Porsche enthusiasts for being too ugly, but it still drives great and it's a deal. In 18, the best bargain was the 2013 Ford F-150 Raptor. These are holding their value tremendously well. Excellent trucks, great bargains. Last year's winner was the C5 Corvette Z06, another amazing bargain, unbelievably good values given the performance level and the driving experience of that car. This year, 2020 best bargain of the year, runner-up is the Porsche 996 Turbo. I reviewed the 996 911 like 3 years ago. This year I did the Turbo version, which is still a great bargain, although they're getting a little bit more expensive, but it still deserves honorable mention here as the runner-up. The winner for best bargain of the year is 2010 Porsche Panamera S. I reviewed this car. It is unbelievable how cheap these have gotten. From everything I've heard, these are very reliable cars, although admittedly, get into a problem area, it could be expensive to maintain or repair, but they've been good, they've been bulletproof, and they're now like 20 grand. For a 2010 Panamera S, that's with the V8, 400 horsepower, and most people you're driving around, they don't realize you're not driving a brand new or fairly recent Porsche. People think you spent a lot more than you did, and it still drives well, it's got good tech. That is a bargain car, and a lot of people watched that video and agreed with me. Porsche Panamera S, the bargain of the year. Next up, biggest surprise of the year. So this award goes to the car where I show up to film the video and I'm like, all right, let's get this one done. You know, my viewers want to see this, but I'm not really that excited about the car. And then I drive it and I'm like blown away, which does happen. It happens 5 or 6 times a year where it's like, okay, get this video out of the way, whatever. And then you get there and you're just enamored, totally enthralled, where it just totally blows your mind more than you expected. This one's gonna be obvious to people who have been watching my videos. 17 was the Shelby GT350R. I assumed it was gonna be a fast Mustang, which in itself is a great car, but I never was expecting it would be as good as the 350R is. In 18, it was the Lincoln Navigator, which was redesigned that year. An amazing car, fantastic redesign. Goes from, you know, basically segment mediocre car for Uber drivers to world class. Truly amazing job. Last year's winner in this award was the BAC Mono, which I don't like buzzy little cars like the Mono, but it was so much fun to drive that it was my surprise of the year. And this year, something similar to that. I'm gonna start actually with the runner-up, which was the Ford Mustang Mach-E. I was not expecting the Mach-E to be that good or good at all, really. I thought it would be kind of a boring electric car. The truth is, it's excellent to drive. I know we can go back and forth about the Mustang name forever, but for what it is, it's a great vehicle with great technology, and I think it's really the first excellent competitor to Tesla that is affordable, and I'm really, really excited about the Mach-E. I think it's a great car. So that's what runner-up for biggest surprise. But biggest surprise of the year, undoubtedly, is the McLaren P1 Gtr. Now, P1 Gtr costs like $3 million, and so you'd think I wouldn't be surprised that it was so good, but I don't like reviewing race cars all that much. My audience doesn't really like it. The videos don't usually do all that well. And also, race cars are very difficult to shoot. They are incredibly uncomfortable to get in and out of. There's a lot of race-specific stuff that is just not that interesting to my general audience. They're low, they're loud. Starting them in a parking lot gathers attention. I mean, there's a million reasons why race cars are just, they're not my thing, frankly. So I go to review the P1 GTR, and then you add in, for this car, the liability risk, because it's so expensive that driving it, I mean, I don't want to drive a $3 million car. I know that sounds a little crazy, but it's a lot of responsibility to drive a car that valuable. And so I show up, and I'm thinking, okay, I gotta drive this incredibly expensive car, and I'm gonna spend the whole day getting in and out of the tight little car, and then I'm gonna drive it on the road, and I'm gonna get hit by someone in a Honda Odyssey, and it's just gonna be terrible, and I'm just nervous, and I can get this done, you know. Then I drive the car, and I've driven a lot of supercars, pretty much all of the latest like supercars and hypercars. They don't really shock me anymore because they're all incredible, but you know, once you've driven 6 of them, the 7th is like, yeah, it's pretty much like the other 6. Not this car. P1 GTR was an unbelievable experience, one of the craziest cars that I've ever driven in any capacity, the craziest car, let me be clear, the craziest, most thrilling car I have ever driven in any capacity in my entire life. I've never been that thrilled and terrified and excited and invigorated. And I got in that car thinking, okay, I'm nervous about this. I just want to get this video done, make sure it's good, whatever. I got out of that car thinking, can I drive it more? Which I never do for really expensive cars. Usually I'm just thrilled to be done. And all I wanted was more seat time. It's amazing. And I have to say, if I ever had zillions of dollars, I wouldn't have a lot of hypercars. I'm just not really a hypercar kind of guy, but I would have that one. It was It was a surprise, and it wins biggest surprise of the year. I'll say that. Okay, next one. We're down to the 4 most important Doug of the Year awards. Next one is worst car of the year. Self-explanatory. This is the worst car I reviewed this year. In 17, Maserati Ghibli. Terrible car, deserved the award. In 18, Mercedes-Benz Metris. Terrible car, deserved the award. Last year, I didn't review that many terrible cars. I gave the award to the Infiniti Q50, which is not a good car, but it is not on the level of the Metris and the Ghibli, but it's still worst car of the year. This year, there were more. This year, I had more of an opportunity. Runner-up for worst car of the year was the Honda S2000 I reviewed from the Fast and the Furious movie. This car was a disaster. The entire interior was made out of bathroom carpet rug material. There were no seat belts. The steering wheel was about 50 degrees going the wrong way, even as I was driving down the street. Many things didn't work. There was a constant fuel smell while you were driving, and it wouldn't rev above 4,000 RPM. It was, by all measures, a terrible car, but a very fun video. Now, you're probably thinking, if that's the runner-up, how bad was the worst car to be even worse than the Honda S2000 Fast and Furious? And the answer is, as bad as the Fiskar Karma. Fiskar Karma wins the award for worst car of the year. The Fiskar Karma is an unmitigated disaster. It is a car that is no longer supported from a parts, repair, and maintenance perspective, primarily. You can still get some stuff, you can't get a lot of others. It is a car that is not really all that fast, not really all that exciting. The interior materials are pretty weak for the price point. The range is laughable. It has a very short, small electric range before the gas engine kicks in. And then that's a 4-cylinder, by the way. It's not really that great. It also is a terrible use of space, laughable. The smallest back seat you can imagine, given the car's size, a terribly small trunk, and the terribly bad technology. Everything about the Fiskar Karma is a nightmare. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not talking about the Karma Rivero. That's sort of a new take on the Fiskar Karma. It's like a revival of it. And it's improved from what I understand, although I have not driven one yet. But the Fiskar Karma is a bad car, and I can't believe they're still selling for what they are, which is like mid to high 30s for cheap ones. It ain't worth that. I don't think it's worth half that. Fiskar Karma, worst car of the year. Next up, down to the final 3 Doug Awards. These are the most meaningful ones to me. Number 3, video of the year. So this is not the car of the year, not the best car, but it was the video that was the most meaningful, most important, and most impactful for my channel. The video that was the biggest, basically, of the year. Not necessarily the highest views, but like the most impactful is how I'll put it. In 17, that was the new Ford GT. This video got more views, took me to a new level that I really didn't think possible. It was a really big deal. In 18, it was the Bugatti Chiron. Again, a zillion views, but also it just really took my channel to like the next level. Wow, he's got hypercars now. And then that kind of stuff started to filter in. Okay, Bugatti gave him a Chiron. Maybe I can give him my Koenigsegg, whatever. In 19, video of the year was obviously the McLaren F1. I reviewed Jay Leno's McLaren F1. It was tremendously important, very incredible. Not only because it was like a McLaren F1 and because it was Jay Leno's, but because it's really the only in-depth tour of a McLaren F1 you're gonna get on the internet, on YouTube. There's not that much out there. These cars are now so valuable. They're all sequestered away. And doing this was a big deal for my channel and for me personally. It was huge. This year, video of the year, runner-up is the C8 Chevy Corvette. From a view perspective, this is the biggest video I did this year. This video has like 9 million views in about 6 months, which is incredible, or maybe 9 months. But from a channel perspective, it was also really important. The automakers have largely ignored both me and YouTube up until recently. And it was videos like this that really helped them see, hey, wait a minute, 10 million people have watched this thing. Maybe there is something about YouTube. Maybe our buyers are actually watching YouTube. And it was a video like that where General Motors certainly realized at that point, okay, yeah, fine, you're right. This is meaningful. YouTube audiences are meaningful to us. And that was a big deal. And so that's the runner-up for video of the year. The winner is the Ford Bronco review that I did for a similar reason. Ford actually sent me a pre-production Bronco that didn't drive, didn't turn on, didn't move, but they sent it to me to do a review with. And that was a really big deal for my channel. I think that was really kind of proof to a lot of doubters like, hey, YouTube is the medium now where people who are buying cars are making decisions. So this Ford Bronco prototype, no one had spent time with it. I think there were 2 videos up with it when I filmed mine, and my video, I think, is like at 3.5 million views. Obviously, an enormous number of hungry Bronco fans watched that video. We're excited to see, even though the thing wouldn't even turn on, they wanted to see dimensions, where you sit, how tall is, you know, all that stuff. And that video, I think, was, again, really proof of life to some of these brands. Hey, wait a minute, YouTube is real. Let's stop ignoring it. And Ford isn't ignoring it, clearly. They've given this car to this dude, and wow, that's really, I guess he must have some following. And that video was really proof that maybe YouTube is a place where you want to connect with your viewers. And so that was a big deal, again, for me and the channel. Video of the year, the Ford Bronco. Okay, next up, quirkiest car of the year. The car this year that had the most interesting quirks and features. In 17, that was the Lamborghini LM002. That was a deeply quirky car. In 18, that was the Aston Martin Lagonda, again, a deeply quirky car, probably the quirkiest ever. Last year, it was the Vector W8, unreal, with its level of quirks. This year, runner-up for quirkiest car is the Oldsmobile Silhouette. I went to film this car. I did not think it would be that crazy. It was, and had a lot of crazy quirks. The video was tremendously popular. People actually wanted to see all the weirdnesses of this van, and boy, did they ever. But the #1 quirkiest car of the year for 2020 was the Fast and the Furious Honda S2000. This car deserves it. It was so bizarre, so weird and interesting and quirky with all of its movie changes that were put into it to make it, you know, movie ready, screen ready. And I do a lot of quirky cars and show a lot of quirks, but the screen quirks, I think, were really interesting to see. It's a tour that not a lot of people get all that often. And so Honda S2000, Fast and the Furious car, quirkiest car of the year. And finally, the most important award of the year, the biggest one, and the Doug of the Year awards, that would be Doug of the Year. This is basically my Car of the Year award, the award I give to the best new car that I drove and reviewed this year. So in 17, that was the Ford F-150 Raptor. Amazing new car, totally changed the pickup market, just fantastic. In 18, it was the Bugatti Chiron, which I know is not affordable or in the realm of affordability, but it is a truly impressive, amazing car. Last year's Doug of the Year award went to the Tesla Model 3 Performance, which was the best car I drove last year. Really incredible, amazing in every way, handling, steering, acceleration, tech, great car. Still think it's a great car. Highly recommend these to everyone who asks. Model 3 Performance. This year, I have a few runners-up. 6 total cars here, 5 runners-up, and then the winner. And these are ranked. So runner-up number 5 is the Tesla Model Y. Great car. But doesn't really move the game forward compared to the Model 3 or the Model X, except that it's like a crossover versus the 3 and smaller versus the X. Great car, but not really worthy of a Doug of the Year award because it's not that different or exciting or special or crazy, but very excellent vehicle. Next up, runner-up number 4, the Porsche Cayman GT4. This was an excellent car. God, it was fun. I want one, frankly. It's not high tech, it's not that great looking or special. There's a lot of them around from the original one and then now the 2nd gen, but it's amazing and it definitely deserves to be in this list. Number 4 runner-up. Number 3 runner-up for Doug of the Year, the new Ford Bronco Sport. Now, this might be surprising because a lot of people, I put the video out and, oh, it's an Escape with boxy styling. Well, no, it isn't. It's actually more capable than that. But more importantly, there are a lot of people who are looking for a small crossover and SUV that is more capable and more boxy and doesn't have the same ugly, flowy lines that every other one has. And kudos to Ford for figuring out this segment. I truly think in 10 years, we're gonna look back and say, the Bronco Sport really started something in the same way that like the Explorer started something in 91 or the Mercedes M-Class did in 98. The Bronco Sport is the beginning of a boxier, off-roadier version of the crossover. Not everybody wants the Mazda CX-5. Some people want more capable, more off-roady, cooler, And that's what the Bronco Sport is. And I know it's not the full-size Bronco, I know it's not the same, but you have to go at it from the perspective of people in that segment. And there are a lot of people looking for a car like that that don't need a full-size Bronco, but they want something still pretty cool and you know, off-roady and a cool image. And the Sport is that. And it's a great car, and it's a great idea from Ford, and I'm excited to see it. Next up, runner-up number 2. That would be the new Cadillac Escalade. The new Escalade actually was a bit of a mixed bag. Great car, amazing technology. The materials and the styling could have been better. I think if this car was just a little bit better, it would have been my Doug of the Year. But it just falls a little short. However, the tech was unbelievable, almost better than any other car that I've driven this year. The issue was it's just not that nice looking, and the materials could use some improvement. That was the only place where it fell short. The Navigator definitely had a better come up from bad to really amazing. The Escalade went from pretty good to really good, but not quite really amazing. But it's a really excellent car. It was a great redesign. New Escalade, definitely the best Escalade yet. And I was happy to spend some time in it this year. Number 1 runner-up, so not the winner, but the second place, the new Land Rover Defender. Now, I know people accuse me of being biased because I have one, but keep in mind Motor Trend also named this their truck of the year, SUV of the year, whatever. So they're into it too. And there's a reason for that. The new Defender has a lot of great things about it. The purists, the Land Rover purists, it's not a diesel, it's not body on frame, it's not a real Defender. But truth is, the new Defender is far better off-road than the old one, while still being more comfortable, having great technology. I think it's a great size. I think it's also a great mix between like the capabilities of a Wrangler with some of the luxury features of a G-Wagon, and the price is in the middle. There's a lot to like about this. And for people like me who want an SUV, but don't want a Honda Pilot with the 3-row seating and the curvy styling. We want something more exciting and cooler and more interesting. The new Defender is really that. It's both capable and it's neat and it's likable. And frankly, I think the fact that the purists hate it is probably a good sign that it's a pretty good vehicle. If they had just gone boxy, body on frame, old school, it wouldn't have been as appealing to a majority of the population as it I think it is. I've been seeing them everywhere. It's clearly been a hit. And I'm really excited for mine, and I love it, and I think it's a great car, and my appreciation for it has only grown since I got it. But unquestionably, without a doubt, this isn't even a thought as to what the number 1 Doug of the Year, basically my car of the year, the new Corvette. I reviewed it back in March. Best car I reviewed this year. Amazing. It's funny, actually, I drove one of these as a rental car for a long weekend in Florida about a month ago. Didn't post about it, didn't mention anything, but I had one. So I got to really experience it for like 3 days and like 400 miles. And I was even more excited by it during that time than I was when I first reviewed it. It's amazing. It's insanely fast. It looks really cool, really sleek. The tech is great. I love it. I love that they've done it. I love that they've done it for this price point. The fact that they were over sticker for so long just proves how much interest and excitement there was. That wasn't really happening with C7 or even C6, but this car, there's so much interest, just intense interest in it, and with great reason. This was one of those rare cars where there's a ton of hype and then it shows up and it's actually as good as the hype says. C8 Corvette, car of the year, not even close. I didn't even consider anything else for this title. Amazing car, absolutely deserved it. Really, really excellent. So those are the Doug of the Year awards. You have all of the awards given to all. I reviewed like 120 cars this year, and those are my tops in each category. That's what you get. So that's the Doug of the Year. Thank you for watching an amazing 2020, at least in the context of my channel. Some great videos, some cool cars. We'll hope for an even better 2021 in many ways. And again, thank you for being a part of it. It is so humbling that so many people watch and play along and enjoy all these videos that I do. And I just can't, it's the greatest job in the world, and I hope to be able to truly continue it forever. And don't forget, on my second channel, there is a video where I go through the top 15 quirks of 2015, the top quirks and features. That is linked in the description below, so go check it out. So thank you for watching this year, and we will start with a very quirky January. Now that December is over and all the big cars have been reviewed, get ready for some quirky weirdness coming in January. Thanks for watching.